Today, we're going to introduce a revolutionary in Taiwan named Xie Shui-hong. Xie was the first female revolutionary in Taiwan. She was born on October 17th in the year 1901. She was born in central Taiwan in Zhenghua. She changed her name later in life, but at birth her name was Xie An-nu. She died on November 15th in the year 1970. Her death was caused by lung cancer. Here you can see a picture of Xie Shui-hong. Xie's parents were illiterate, and her father worked in a hat-making factory in order to support his family. Her family was too poor to send Xie to school. Worse, at the age of 12, both of Xie's parents passed away. To raise money for her mother's funeral, she was sold as a wife to the Hong family in Taichung. Once she joined the Hong family, her mother-in-law treated her poorly and was often mean to her. She stayed there for 3 years, but then ran away to work at a sugar factory in Tainan. She began work in Tainan in the year 1917. Later, in Tainan, she met a landlord and became his wife. In 1919, Xie traveled to Japan with her husband, and she stayed there for 3 years. During those 3 years, Xie saw protests for the first time. These protests were marches held by the poor. Then Xie traveled to China, where she witnessed the May 4th movement, a movement pushed by students. Xie's exposure to protests influenced her greatly, and she began to think about the value of independence. After she returned to Taiwan, she ran a Western-style clothing store. Then, in 1921, she became a member of the Taiwanese Cultural Association and began to learn more about Taiwanese political society. In 1925, Xie traveled to Shanghai alone. While in Shanghai, she studied at Shanghai University. Then, 5 months later, she was chosen by the Communist Party of China to travel to Moscow to continue her studies at the Far East University. She graduated from the Far East University in 1927, after which she worked to establish the Taiwanese Communist Party, centered in Shanghai. The following year, on April 15th, an opening ceremony was held for her new party. At the ceremony, Xie declared that her new organization would fight for Taiwanese independence and to build the Taiwanese Republic. She pledged to establish a government based on workers and peasants rather than the elite. However, on the 10th day after initiating her new political organization, Xie was arrested by the Japanese. She was sent to Taiwan for trial, but she was later released because they did not have enough evidence to convict her. Once back in Taiwan, Xie still began to pursue revolution. She advocated that feminism and social revolution should come at the same time. In order to shield her activities, she began a bookstore. But in 1931, she was again arrested for her participation in revolutionary activities. This time, she was sentenced to jail for 13 years. She served 5 out of 13 years, but was then released because of poor health.